you're just starting out with the Pew Pew life, you might want to check out Pew Pew Tactical. That's a website for gun beginners. And joining me now is Eric Hung from Pew Pew Tactical. What's going on, man?
Great to be here.
How's it going?
Not too much. Yeah, just awesome to be here. Super excited.
Awesome. So I got to ask, how long has the site been around?
The site's been around for just 1 year. I launched it last January, and it's just been picking up steam. Like December, I checked the page views. I think we hit almost 600,000 people.
Wow, that's amazing. So
yeah.
what kind of got you to want to start the website?
Yeah, so I got into guns when I was about 25, so like 6 years ago. Got really, really into it, sort of like the video you have on YouTube. Just it was a slippery slope, and soon I became like the gun guy of all my friends, and I started getting the same questions over and over and over, and figured, okay, I'll just put it up online so my 10 friends and maybe my mom can check it out, and it sort of just grew from there.
Awesome. So basically, what you're saying is you're like the Asian version of me.
We got the Pew Pew also,
right? No, I mean I can relate to this story so much. That's exactly kind of how things started for me. I about the same age. I shot for the first time, 25, 26. Do you remember that? Do you remember what gun it was that you shot for the first time?
Yeah, I saw it like in an ad. I think it was at Big Five. It was a 10/22. I'm like, oh, I didn't know guns were so cheap. Picked it up and then shot it, and then got another gun the next day.
Really? What'd you pick up?
I believe it was a 1911 Springfield.
Really? Springfield 1911? Was it the TRP or?
It was the loaded. So
okay. Man, you went straight to 19. Okay, so you blew my first purchase out of the water. I think I got my first purchase was a Ruger SR40.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So what made you want to go right into the 1911? Because I know it had to be a process. Because if you're anything like me, and I think you kind of are, after that first shot, you went into like full blown research mode, correct?
Oh yeah. Like sort of engineering background. Like I love researching stuff. I love upgrading stuff. Did all the research. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna check out the Striker Fire. They're like the most reliable. Then saw the 1911. I'm like, that is so beautiful. I need that. And I think it might have been the person at the local gun shop, but they're like, if you know you're gonna get it, just get it now.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, you got me.
Now, how many considering how we've came into the gun culture, so to speak?
Yeah.
I've noticed that what's pretty prevalent in a lot of us like this who have this kind of the same beginning. We place a lot of emphasis on looks.
Yeah.
And I remember when I first started out, I placed a lot of emphasis on the way the gun looked, and I was unapologetic about it. I was like, I'm sorry, I care about how the gun looks. Whereas opposed to a lot of people who grew up with firearms, for them, there's an emphasis on the functional component. Are you seeing that to be pretty consistent with a lot of new people coming into firearms, or is it something that is just unique to me and you?
Yeah, I think at least for my friends, we sort of chose the ones that we saw in movies or that we know like the U.S. Army uses. That's sort of where we started off. And then once we started doing the research, we started going after maybe the more reliable one. Like it might not be the prettiest one, but it fits the best in my hand. Yeah. And that's sort of where I am now. And I also I like spray painting my guns to make them look kind of worn and everything. My other friends, they're like scoffing at me like, oh, got to keep it like a safe queen. So I don't know. Like I think they're tools. I think they're meant to be used. It's okay if it drops on the ground. No biggie.
Gotcha. Now, are there any other hobbies that you're into that kind of live on the same playing field of consumption as firearms do?
I think it's definitely like the highest there. It's probably the most money I've spent. Probably could have got a really nice car by now. But I'd say like other hobbies, it's sort of like trying to keep in shape. Like I'm pretty goal oriented. So I try to do like a triathlon here and there or do like a long hike. Otherwise, I won't go out to the gym or anything.
Gotcha. Makes sense to me. Yeah, I struggle with that. I'll go hard for like maybe 3 weeks. And then something will come up, I'll let it be an excuse, and then I'll be down for like 2 weeks. And I'm like, what happened to all the games?
Exactly.
So on the site, what kind of resources do you provide for people?
Yeah, so I started with, there's a couple sections. One of the most popular is sort of the beginner's guide to guns. And that just starts off with like, what is a gun? And sort of goes into calibers. It seems like everyone sort of wants to see like the biggest calibers first and see how they compare like the 9mm that they're maybe a little bit more familiar with. And then sort of goes all the way down to like how to hold it. I really try to strike an emphasis on safety as well. The beginning of every article there goes to the 4 rules of safety. And then sort of how to shoot like each type of gun, and then a little bit on how to choose your first like home defense gun. Because I know a lot of people, they probably just want to buy one gun and be done with it, even though I don't know how that's possible. And going all the way through like sort of ammo selection, And now I've seen a lot of people going to the AR-15. It is like the most popular one in the US, and also reloading. So reloading is, I think it's probably because of a lot of the California laws that are coming up, especially with the inability to buy ammo in probably a year or so.
Yeah.
So I think just a lot of people are getting into reloading.
Gotcha. And so on the page, it said something I thought was really interesting. It was basically saying like, I can turn you in like this, like we'll turn you in from a noob shooter to a full blown tactical shooter. So,
it's sort of like a tongue-in-cheek thing too. So like I fully embrace. I'm a little tactical on the range. If I see something, I'll probably get it. I might not use it all the time, but I think that's a little bit of maybe just growing up, not really like no friends really went to the military or were in the police. Like all the things we saw were on TV or say Call of Duty. So I think that's just sort of ingrained in there, and you just want to sort of live out your fantasies a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm unabashedly saying that.
So what do you think was the drive? Like if you can explain to me, because I've done it several times on the show on other platforms. Like that first moment when you shot that gun, like what do you think ignited in you that kicked that kind of started you down this path to where you are now?
I think the first thing, and I bring this up in like my article, like first time at the shooting range, like I was actually really, really scared, like sweaty palms, everything, like not breathing, got to remember to breathe. But then after shooting it was like the Zen moment. And that part still continues every day. Like when I do competitions, it's like the purest form of Zen, at least for me. But like the first few times, I think I can relate to a lot of noobs because I was a noob not too long ago.
Yeah.
It's just, like you're kind of scared. You don't really know what to do. And I just try my best to get them sort of prepared to what's coming up.
Now I have to ask, if you shot your first gun, when you were around 25, if the internet wasn't where it is now, do you think that your enthusiasm for firearms would be where it is now? How much of a role do you think the internet played in kind of fueling that drive towards the path of just firearm enthusiasm? Yeah,
I think it's like total. I think if there was the internet, I probably wouldn't even like picked up my first gun. I think just having that ability to like search through forums, search through like YouTube channels, and articles, that's what fueled it for sure.
Because I mean, I'm looking at the site now, and I'm like, man, like. I didn't have a site like that when I first started.
Yeah.
You know, there were sites out there. It was pretty advanced, but now things are just kind of going to a whole nother level. My site, which is under construction, clearly. But you know, I was looking on the site and I was like, man, if I had this, who knows how bad it would have even got. I mean, I'm pretty bad now, but you know, it's definitely something that having the resources there and the information does plays a huge part in fueling people's desire to want to learn more, consume more, and understand the firearm. Like I can't express how important knowledge in and of itself is. When you started out, what was the one of the most difficult things that you had a problem that you encountered when you started down this path?
Okay, I think first writing it, just spending lots of time, like sort of researching how to blog, learning the tech aspects behind that. That was okay. But I think initially after writing the first few articles, just wasn't seeing the readers and sort of knew that. Yeah. But deep down, you're like, no one really wants this stuff. So like I would say probably the first 3 months of writing, there was this like lull. And then I sort of like didn't look at it. I'm like, okay, I don't want to look at my analytics. And just after like a month or two, sort of looked at it and it was peaking up a little bit. It's like, okay, there's some people. And I think once I started getting my first few comments, I'm like, oh, you got to write more stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's when it really, really picked up. Because like now I know like, okay, there's actually people getting helped.
Yep. Yeah, I remember when I started my YouTube channel, I felt like I was just throwing videos into the tunnel of nothing. But there is something very therapeutic about expressing this newfound passion for something. And then creating something around it and just kind of tossing it out there for people to latch onto. And now I'm seeing people respond to videos, like some of my first videos that before nobody watched. And I'm just like, oh God, I'm like, oh, those are so bad.
The first few ones are like, oh no, I should delete this.
Yeah, I low-key want to take them off. I'm like, oh God, so much has changed since then. But we're going to take a short break. And when we come back, I want to talk about the dynamic of you doing what you do while being in a state that isn't exactly conducive to what you do.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll be back.
All right.